please.
So if they're not going to do it, then instead of Spider-Man No Way Home, we need to see Spider-Man Nursing Home. We need to see Spider-Man at age 80 and see if he's still doing the right thing or if he is just a bitter old man. Lick this.
No.
I think was one of the funniest moments in both movies, hands down. So much so that I wrote it down on the top of my notes. That was one of the funniest moments in the movie. And of course, we are talking about The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the two Andrew Garfield Spider-Man entries. And welcome to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
I'm Noah.
You're not going to lick that?
What an issue. What an entrance. Issue. What an entrance. Oh my gosh. Yes, Andrew Garfield and the Amazing Spider-Man series. The run that was kind of overlooked there for a few years. Now, I remember when these movies were coming out, and I had seen them as they had come out.
Okay.
So I remember a lot of what was going on when these movies were coming out and the discussion around them. But you hadn't seen them.
No,
until we started talking about this.
Until this last week.
Yeah.
Right. I have not seen all of Tobey Maguire's run because I don't think I watched all of Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
I have seen maybe 30 minutes of Tom Holland's first movie, Homecoming.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, it was not holding my interest at all.
Yeah.
And here's the big thing. When the Andrew Garfield movies came out, my reaction was, we're rebooting another series again. Do I have to see Uncle Ben die again? Do I have to see him bit by a radioactive spider again?
Yeah.
Why are we rebooting these things? This story has been told ad nauseum.
Feels like Batman at that point.
It does. It very definitely does. Just, you know what, if you're gonna cast a new actor, fine, cast a new actor, but do it like the James Bond movies do. Just pick up and move on with the story as if he's always been the guy.
Or don't tell an origin story.
Well,
There's another option.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what they did with Tom Holland. They kind of skipped over his origin story. They're just like, oh yeah, he's Spider-Man.
Right.
But Andrew Garfield in The Amazing Spider-Man, because they had to distinguish it between Spider-Man
and The Amazing
Spider-Man.
See, Tobey Maguire wasn't amazing.
He wasn't amazing.
He was the adequate Spider-Man. He was the net
Tobey
Spider-Man.
Maguire. Now, I look at Tobey Maguire through rose-tinted glasses. He was my first Spider-Man. You know, the kids who grew up around my age, that was the first Spider-Man that we saw on screen. Looking back on him, I like Tobey Maguire. Those movies are not as good as I always remember
them being.
Yeah. It's very fun to reminisce on them from a distance. And, of course, when he came back for No Way Home,
right,
it was a pleasure to see him again, and they did a really good job with him. But, yeah, those movies, looking back on them, I think the second one is the best out of the three, and it's pretty much because of Doc Ock.
Doc Ock was good. No, my joke was on the titles of the movies, not on the actor. I was not ripping on Tobey Maguire.
No, I know.
I know. But you know so I put all of my 10-year-old knee-jerk reactions to the reboot to the side, and I sat down and I watched the first movie, and I was pleasantly surprised. Prior to this, I have only seen Andrew Garfield in the war movie Hacksaw Ridge, which was amazing.
Was a great
fantastic
movie. He is a talented actor.
He is a very talented actor.
He is a very talented actor.
And I have seen some clips of him on stage performing with Vanessa Hudgens. I think that's her name.
Hudgens?
She's former Disney child star. They're on stage. He's sitting in she's sitting in a chair. He's standing there doing something. Hudgens. And anyway, I thought to myself, wow, this guy is versatile.
Mm-hmm.
He's can perform live and sing and do a real good job. So, he's talented all the way around. And this is the first movies I've seen Emma Stone.
Okay.
Right? And their screen chemistry is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Now, from what I understand, that chemistry extended off screen.
It very much extended off screen. And on that note, I did do some research into that because I was curious because I hadn't heard anything about it. They did break up. They only lasted for about 5 years.
Okay.
But apparently it wasn't messy. Apparently they just went separate ways in life. And according to some interviews, they're still pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, that chemistry, it did extend off.
And you know where I saw the chemistry the most? It wasn't the on-screen interactions.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 2, there are a lot of photographs in the background of the two of them together. Now, for the two of them, that doesn't take serious acting. That's playtime. That's a photographer, taking pictures while you're messing around, and they just seem to be having a tremendous amount of fun.
Oh yeah.
So their screen chemistry was fantastic, which made both movies work very well.
Yes. Right. Yes. I think that's the best on-screen Spider-Man romance that we have gotten.
So what happened to Mary Jane? Why Gwen Stacy? What was
Gwen Stacy is the original.
Oh, is she really?
She's the original girlfriend.
Okay.
Now, and this is where I get into some issues. So back to that little discourse around these movies, why there's only 2 of them. Sony had plans for these movies. Sony had plans to kickstart the Amazing Spider-Man cinematic universe. Because these came out in 2012, 2014. Guess what came out in 2012? The Avengers.
Okay.
The Avengers came out in 2012. So Sony is seeing this and going, oh crap, we've got the rights to Spider-Man, and if we don't start making movies with these guys, they're going to revert back to Marvel. And because that's how the contract worked.
Gotcha.
And so they made these movies, and they had grand plans to make like a Sinister Six movie where they brought in like the 6 biggest Spider-Man villains, like Green Goblin and Electro, maybe Rhino, Doc Ock, Vulture, Shocker, a bunch of these guys, and have them fight Spider-Man. And it in the comics, anytime they tell the Sinister Six storyline, it's like all these villains who have never even met are like, we hate Spider-Man, and Spider-Man goes through like the roughest period of his early career, where they're just beating down on him because they've all teamed up and he's overwhelmed.
It's a case like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had plans to do a Sinister Six movie. They had plans to do the Venom movie. They had plans to do all this stuff. And the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not well received. The second movie was not well received.
Well,
for a multitude of reasons.
I pretty much know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they filmed it from the outside looking in. They decided that they didn't have a future beyond Spider-Man 2, so they tried to cram everything into that movie.
Yes.
It was rushed. It was underdeveloped. And then, we kind of go back to this a lot, but let's face it, the standard has been set. Marvel introduces a character. Marvel focuses on the character. Marvel develops the character. Marvel doesn't give that character the big challenges to their strengths and weaknesses until second, third, and fourth movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't see these developments. Everything was rushed. And for an example, we find out we don't meet Norman Osborn in the first movie.
No,
we should have
hear about him.
But we should have met him. We should have learned about his illness.
Mm-hmm.
We should have seen what he was struggling with, and maybe care about him a little bit.
Yep.
And here's the thing: we don't meet him, so we really don't care about him. He's not a threat. His valet, personal assistant, guy is the threat. And then we get into the second movie. Suddenly, we meet him. Mm-hmm. We meet his son, Harry,
who we've never had any indication that he knows that he knows Peter Parker.
Right.
Even though they do in the books and the previous movies, they do. They're old childhood friends, but
Right.
like, there's nothing in the first movie to indicate they were going this direction.
Yeah, and you know, he never even mentions that he knew Harry in the first movie, and all of his interactions at Osborn. So you see this, but when he takes the serum, you know, that injection, he immediately knows to crawl into the Green Goblin suit. He immediately knows. He's never seen this.
He had. He was looking
where
through,
not on screen.
He did he was looking through the files.
So we have to assume he knew that, right?
No, hold on. He was looking through the files, and it pops up. This Gen whatever military bodysuit with these capabilities. The voice actually reads it out to him. It is super quick.
All right.
And the only reason I was keeping up is because I had two screens going watching both these movies, and I was playing a game of Civ 6 on the other. And I'm listening actively while conquering the world.
Okay, but
they do. It's not. I'll give you that. It's not well implemented.
No, it's not because.
But they did. They didn't just pull it out their ass.
No, they showed the gun on the table before the gun got fired. I get it, but
barely.
But just barely.
Yeah, just barely.
Here's the other thing, and this goes back to the quality, the standards that Marvel has set.
Yeah.
That if other filmmakers don't start meeting these standards, they're never going to do well.
And they're never going to do well.
How many times did we see Tony Stark crash and burn and fail trying to learn to control the Iron Man suit?
Yeah, a lot.
It was funny.
Yep.
But it showed his human side. It showed that he can fail. It showed that he perseveres. It was a great comic moment in the movie. And Norman Osborn gets into this military-grade suit and then flies the Green Goblin wing hoverboard
just immediately,
like he's been doing it for years. You know,
exactly.
It's little things like that they failed to do in this movie that made everything feel unnecessarily rushed.
Harry coming in at the end and just being this Deus Ex fu.
Yeah,
it's not well handled. You could have set that up for a third movie and then had the tragedy come in the third movie. This movie would have been taken a lot better.
Yep.
Because
with all of their intelligence combined, Harry apparently doesn't know that if you mix blood types, you get a bad reaction.
Well, he didn't know that it was made specifically for Peter's father's bloodline, which is also one of the dumbest things because
basic human anatomy.
Yeah,
take all the science crap out of it. If you mix blood types,
but it wasn't blood types.
But
and that's the thing. This is the thing about it. Everything that you've said can be summed up in one sentence. That entire subplot of the movie is poorly explained.
Yes, it is.
And they should have taken the time to just establish that Harry exists and that he's fighting Oscorp. And then you could have taken the extra time and put it back into Electro, who I have to say, stupidest design for a villain. So glad they fixed that in No Way Home. Great choice of actor. Jamie Foxx is fantastic, and I have enjoyed Jamie Foxx's performances in just about everything I've seen him in.
I haven't seen him in a lot. I kind of thought that this was a waste of his talent.
It was a waste of his talent, but it was a very enjoyable waste of his talent.
The thing that they also didn't do was explain how he can do what he did, because he goes from a corporeal being to someone who can just turn invisible and
become electricity.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't explore it at all, which ties back into that you could have taken the subplot and just redirected it into the main plot and just made this movie 10 times better. But he was an interesting villain, though, because it's a dude who obviously has issues. He's downtrodden by society.
Mm-hmm.
You could have done so much more with this because you had all the pieces there, and instead you throw that all out for Crack Goblin at the end of the movie.
Crack Goblin. Give him the Thanos treatment. Give us a reason to care about him.
Yeah.
Right? Invest a little more time into the villain. So I'm watching the Amazing Spider-Man and the interactions between Dennis Leary's character as, Gwen's father. And I thought, wow, really unfortunate that they killed him off. First of all, I like Dennis Leary as an actor.
Okay.
I do. His stand-up is funny. I really like his acting, and he plays the New York cop so very well. And how nice would it have been for him to survive and have Spider-Man have an ally on the force, albeit an ally at a distance.
Yeah.
And then the living man continually reminding Peter Parker, stay away from my daughter, protect her.
Yeah.
As opposed to the memory flashback.
Yeah.
And could they have predicted Gwen's death any more than they did?
Oh my gosh. And like literally at every turn. And especially since that's literally what happens in the comic books. Gwen Stacy is the first, like he doesn't get to date Mary Jane in high school, so he dates Gwen Stacy. And in the comic books, they were head over heels for each other. And in one of the first major encounters with Green Goblin kidnaps Gwen Stacy, takes her up to the top of a bridge. You know that scene in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where he's got Mary Jane?
Right.
And he drops her?
Right.
Well, that's literally what happened to Gwen Stacy in the comic books. He takes her up to the bridge, he drops her, Spider-Man goes to save her, the force of the web and catching her cracks her neck.
Gotcha.
She is gone, and that's his first major loss, which is the theme of Spider-Man, is that Spider-Man just can't catch a break. In any iteration, Spider-Man is doomed to just lose everything closest to him. But that's what makes him inspiring, because he continues to push forward and do the right thing despite all the adversity that he faces. However, come on, reboot the Amazing Spider-Man series. Give us the Amazing Spider-Man 3 and just give the dude a happy ending, please.
So if they're not going to do it, then instead of Spider-Man No Way Home, we need to see Spider-Man Nursing Home. We need to see Spider-Man at age 80 and see if he's still doing the right thing or if he is just a bitter old man.
There's rumors that after the success of No Way Home, they want to do a fourth Tobey Maguire Spider-Man to cap off his story, and a third Andrew Garfield to cap off his story. Rumors, nothing confirmed.
Gotcha.
It's just what was going around, but apparently Sony was very interested in it.
So Andrew Garfield meets up with Doctor Strange, who sends him back in time, and he saves Gwen Stacy, and they live happily ever after.
No. What they would probably the thing that people want to have happen is actually, so there's a variance, like multiverse.
Yeah.
Okay. In other universes, there's a character called Spider-Gwen. And it's what happens when Gwen Stacy gets bitten by the spider. She doesn't call herself Spider-Gwen. She calls herself Ghost Spider. She's in a white and black and pink outfit.
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Spider-Gwen.
Exactly. So I think the fan story that they want them to tell is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man finding a Spider-Gwen who lost her Peter, because that's usually what happens, is that she loses her Peter instead. It's a reverse.
Okay.
So take the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man who lost his Gwen Stacy, take the Gwen Stacy who lost her Peter Parker, and then team them up, and then they're a crime-fighting
If they get
couple.
married and have kids,
It's going to be
are there going to be like 100 little spider kids coming out, or is it just going to be one? And will it have 4 limbs, or 6 or 8? That would be cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Spider-Gwen. I thought... Sorry. Just...
Woo.
Things that movies make me wonder about, I thought they kind of misplayed how creepy would it be. Could you imagine waking up and realizing you're in a morgue, and in the background is the crematorium fired up waiting to slide your body into it, and he didn't even react to it. He didn't even notice. He didn't even pause for a moment to say, oh crap, that was for me. I'm the only body in here. That missed opportunities. I could not help but think, oh great, we have of Emperor Palpatine in New York City.
With dubstep powers. Did you notice that?
Dubstep?
Every time heavy synth electric.
Yeah.
Every time he shot electricity, it was. They literally were playing Skrillex.
Oh, gotcha.
As he was.
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. That was just one of the things that
That was another thing that really made people mad. They were like, really? Dubstep powers?
So what was the line? I wrote a note here. Now I don't remember what the line was. I'm sorry I didn't take you to the Bahamas of hiding places.
Oh, that in the closet. He says,
that was it. She says that.
The cleaning closet.
Yes.
This is like the most cliche hiding place you could have found.
I didn't take. That was a great line.
Their interactions are just great in general. It was really well done. Their relationship. Like I said, it's just the best on-screen Spider-Man relationship I think we've gotten. Hands down.
Very definitely. Now I have not seen Tom Holland in. No.
First off, they don't even start dating until the end of the second movie. Like, really? And you only see a little bit of it in No Way Home. It's like, okay.
Gotcha.
So it's like they just don't give you enough to work with.
So there's a couple other cliche things that we have. First of all, as I run down the different thoughts that I had, Dr. Kafka, what a wasted performance, what a wasted character. I mean, could we get anything more cliche? A German accent, a mean German doctor,
in a very, very specific looking asylum.
Yeah,
they took a very specific aesthetic for that building with that character.
What is the set that they used for that? I kept trying to find it online.
I have
because
no idea.
I'm thinking to myself, it's an old, like Civil or Revolutionary War battle site somewhere in New York that.
No idea.
I need to find out what that was. It looked really cool. I'm tired of the heartfelt recordings from Dad from Beyond, which sets everything straight and explains everything.
Here's a fun fact. They had an alternate ending recorded for The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Where, that you have at the end you have the flashes of him visiting the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And in an alternate ending, his dad shows up, flesh and blood, in front of him at the grave and says, "We need to talk." Because they were taking a very specific storyline with his parents to have them be more integral to the plot. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, in some versions of Spider-Man, his parents are spies, and when they die in the plane crash, they're actually assassinated, which is kind of the thread they were going with in these two movies. Oh, they know too much, they need to die, even though they're not spies. But they actually had, and I think it was supposed to replace the whole recording bit, where it was like he finds a recording, kind of, but it's less so.
All right.
And then he comes back, and he's like, "Peter, I need your help."
So, things that they missed in this movie. All right, the line that caught my attention.
We're just ripping into The Amazing Spider-Man too.
Because the Amazing Spider-Man didn't give us anything to work with. The Amazing Spider-Man was an introduction story. You see this.
What do you think of the Uncle Ben?
Well, okay, so the actor Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen is an incredible actor, but because of his political activism, I find it very difficult to watch him. He's an extraordinarily talented actor. Yeah. His performances are solid. I have always enjoyed watching him perform. Okay. But you get the political activism side, and it just
drags you out of the experience.
It does. It's that fourth wall break. I hate it. And so he gave a vintage Martin Sheen quality acting performance. Sally Field as Aunt May is fantastic. She's believable. She's genuine. She's really good. And as a couple on screen, they work very well. These veteran actors, And so I like the fact that the movie didn't give us the standard with great power comes great responsibility line.
Yeah,
they avoided it.
It was a little, and you could tell they were trying to avoid using it.
Yeah,
so...
and I'm glad they did. I really am glad.
Yeah,
glad
it's a cliche.
Right.
It's a cliche. I don't think it was. I don't think their alternative was well. I just think it was very clumsy. It was a very clumsy line.
I don't even remember what it was.
He says the same thing essentially.
Right.
But essentially, if you have the power to do something good, you need to do it.
Right.
Is essentially what it comes down to.
Yeah, but that's far more realistic.
It is far more realistic.
This is a blue-collar worker.
It is.
He's not going to say something
I found his Uncle Ben kind of annoying at times. Like, the whole, Peter shows off and, humiliates Flash. And he's like, did you humiliate that boy? Is this revenge? Does it make you feel good? And it's like, bro, chill out. He didn't break the kid's jaw. It's like, yeah, he broke a backboard. Yeah, okay. First off, you explain that, Uncle Ben. Put the pieces together. What the hell is going on with your nephew? But it's like, where your priorities are kind of weird. Like, if Peter had punched him and, really hurt Flash, then I would see that outburst a little bit better. But it was like, he teased him. He made fun of him. Right. It's like this is the tamest situation you could get that upset over.
It may not have been handled well on screen, but if you in growing up had gone out into the neighborhood and had humiliated someone, you don't think you and I would have sat down and had that conversation?
I think we would have had a conversation.
Right.
I think we definitely would have had a conversation, but if someone had punched me in the face and left a bruise,
I'd have said, "Did you finish it?"
Exactly.
I would have said,
exactly. So really, think about it. What which would you be more upset over? Me making a dude look bad at basketball intentionally, or breaking his jaw in retaliation? Because we're taught control in our martial art. Don't go too far. It's like, only do what's needed to finish the fight. It's like,
I think if he broke his jaw, my reaction would have been something along the lines of, damn, boy, when you finish a fight, you really finish a fight. I don't know. Basically, I liked him.
Yeah.
I wish.
I think in general, it worked. I think it worked. There's just a couple things that I'm like, okay, this is a little awkward. I liked how his death played out. I like that a little bit more, because it's like, it's still the same thing, where it's like, it's the same thing in every Spider-Man, where Spider-Man is ultimately responsible for not stopping the robber that kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Uncle Ben's kind of dumb. You saw a gun, bro. You saw a gun. Run. Just run.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get the whole doing the right thing, but that dude had a gun. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it.
Nope.
Anyone else feel like Spider-Man was kind of justified in letting that guy run away? The dude even tossed him the milk. That was great. No, the thing I liked about that situation is that he never found the dude.
Yeah, we do not get the resolution of that.
We never got the resolution of that, and he has to come to terms with that. And I think, honestly, that was my favorite part of the original one, the first movie.
Oh, he never sees...
He goes on this huge streak of trying to catch people who look just like him, and I'm pretty sure it's the same actor every time.
Okay, but
I think it's the exact same actor. I swear, I think it is.
But what you don't know, 20 years in the future, that petty thief might fall into a vat of chemicals and come out laughing maniacally, and then they've got the ultimate fight sequence. I'm mixing my comic books.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, I will say this, and I don't know if I've ever said this, quite this clearly before in regards to these actors and their fourth wall breaks that bother me so much. they have the right as American citizens to say anything they want in their private life. They've got their free speech. They get to practice it. I don't have a problem with them doing it. But the consequence of that is that when they're up on screen, it sometimes can be hard to just buy into the character and forget everything that person does. And that makes it hard to enjoy the product. Yep. And when it's hard to enjoy the product, then I just stop purchasing what they're selling.
Yep.
And that's, and so...
I feel like we rehash this every time this comes up.
Well, I don't know if we do or not.
We do. I'm pretty sure we do. Because it's like, again, in a nutshell...
I'll stop saying...
No matter what your views are, if your presence reminds me of real-world issues... that are currently going on, it takes me out of the escapism. The escapism. Yeah. That's really what it is. What it boils down to.
I'll not say it again.
No, I just think we re-explain that every video.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's so many of these talented actors fall into this category.
What do you think of his overall demeanor as Spider-Man? Because I really liked the dichotomy between Peter Parker and Spider-Man in this, because it really felt like every time he used his powers, once he got comfortable with them and had the mask on, it's a cover. It allows him to hide. It really brings up the whole thing of he wears the mask and he has the reflective lenses, not just to hide who he is, but to hide from his enemies just how scared he is. It allows him to perform instead of it allows him to hide the scared Peter Parker and become a more confident. It
begs the question, which one is the mask, Peter Parker or Spider-Man?
Yeah.
It's the same question that Batman has.
Yeah.
Now with Batman, Batman is who Bruce Wayne really is.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like in this one, Spider-Man, in most scenarios, Spider-Man is supposed to be the mask and Peter Parker is the real person. And being Spider-Man gives him the confidence to make these quips. Like when he's out there and he's toying with the villains. Or he's like like the scene of him spraying down a fire with a fire hose and has the helmet on and he's chatting with the fist bumping all the firemen. It's like, that's great. That's
some of that. Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Some of that stuff was a tremendous amount of fun.
Peter Parker would not be doing that. Peter Parker would not be sitting there going, "Hey, Big John, give me 5. Hey, Mike, yeah," doing all that.
Well, Peter. So his overall performance is Peter Parker. He's geeky, but he's very human.
Yes.
He's very fun. He's far more accessible than Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker because Maguire was so quiet.
Yeah.
And so reserved. Whereas with Andrew Garfield, you got that sense of when he gets around Gwen, there's this energy that he doesn't know what to do with, and it's very human. It's very real. And so I like that performance. I like the fact that he's a teenager behaving like a teenager with his aunt and uncle, right? I mean, when you raise a teenager, you will think back to some of the conversations we had, and you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I get it. And I'm watching his performance, and I'm thinking, oh, I understand Uncle Ben on this one. Yeah, where the hell are the eggs? How many times do I have to ask you to bring home the eggs? And the fact that he remembered at the end, right, was really fun. That he pulled that. That one caught me by surprise. Actually, that was a great surprise at the end of the movie.
Right.
He finally remembered to bring home eggs. So that aspect of Peter Parker was good.
All right. Well, we've going a little long on this, but overall, what would you have liked to have seen more out of this? Would you have liked to seen more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Now that I've seen, his performance, I very definitely would like to see more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But Andrew Garfield Spider-Man with better quality writing. They just jammed too much into this movie. They didn't explore things particularly well. They could have spent the whole movie exploring these abandonment issues between Peter and Harry and, Gwen's loss of her dad and all of these people dealing with it. It would have been better if they did that. They're going to have to avoid things like, oh my goodness, this just drove me crazy. 2 airplanes.
Yeah.
Barreling at each other.
I know.
Neither pilot knows to veer off and go to the alternate landing site.
Yep.
Neither pilot just says, you know what, we'll do this on visual flight rules and I'm going to get out of here. And then the power comes on and the air traffic control computers don't have to reboot.
I turn this thing on every time. It's like, your antivirus has expired.
I know.
Would you like to renew? And you're telling me that government computers don't need a system update? I have worked with those things.
Oh, yeah.
They suck.
Okay, that would have been hysterical if the air traffic control computers came back on and the system
Would you like the
updating.
newest version of Windows? No!
That would have been great. Those are the things that they've got to get rid of. The cheap Hollywood writing
they
that
do.
just
You
doesn't,
didn't need it. You didn't need it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yes, I would like to see more. I don't know if I want to see another Tobey Maguire.
Well, what you should do next.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people will agree.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got about 30 minutes through Homecoming. I've had the same issue with Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I don't like that movie. And Far From Home, because it's Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home are the 3 movies that we've got. The first 2, It's very much a high school Spider-Man, which is obviously what they're going for. You could go this afternoon, pop on Disney Plus, and watch No Way Home, and have no problem following the story.
Okay.
It completely stands on its own, and I think you would enjoy it.
And I can skip the other 2?
I'm pretty sure you can skip the other 2.
Homecoming was painful.
Yeah. I think you can skip the other 2. Honestly, I think that's one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. It really gives Tom Holland a chance to shine, and the other 2 do amazing as well.
Okay.
So I think your next step should be to watch that.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Let us know if you agree with that statement down in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches.
A middle-aged Spider-Man with maybe a beer belly.
We've got that too.
We,
I don't know if you could stand watching
the Mr. Incredibles treatment for Spider-Man.
I don't know if you could watch the animation of Into the Spider-Verse, but they have that.
Do they?
They do. They have that as one of the... Let us know if you want to see us review that one too, because I feel like that's good. The colors are going to give him a migraine.
Thanks,
we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Ham.
Same thing as Loki. Going to the Loki-verse. Alligator Loki.
His name's Peter Porker.
That's good.